So this is session 2 of 4 for Changeling the Lost PbtA. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, which is an online community of gaming, which has a lot of games, well over 100 each month. If you're curious about that, if you're watching this and going, how do I get in on that? You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. And we have a Patreon. So you can check all that out. Also, you can follow my stuff if you want to find out more about the process of building this Changing the Lost PbtA hack at my blog at ageofravens.blogspot.com. And I will point out, before Rich does, the Annie I have for the blog right there hanging. Okay, there we go. So we are going to start again with this game. Last time we did some freehold creation setup for it. And we did the character creation. So what I want to do today is have everybody give their 30-second pitch on their character. And then I want to go around and ask everybody a question, and we'll figure out where we're going to frame our characters in from last week. So anything mechanically anybody wants to know or ask before we get started? I don't think anybody got enough XP to get a new move, did they? No. Okay. We're all good. So let's start. I'm going to look at the character creator tabs. It looks like my tabs start with Sherry. Sherry, can you tell us about Janie Magpie?
Let's see here. Janie Magpie is a young woman. She appears to regular people as maybe actually in her 30s, but in her changeling form, she looks much younger. She is striking because her she's like got a little bit of feathering to her. You can see a few feathers and stuff on her shoulders and, sort of on her neck and things like that. She wears very striking jewelry, much of it kind of big, very shiny, and sort of sharp looking. And her eyes are strange, very, very light colored, like they've been bleached out. She doesn't talk much, particularly whenever the situation is the least bit stressful. At that point, if she says anything at all, it's just to repeat some part of the last part of what someone said. When she feels fairly secure, she'll say a little bit of her own, but otherwise she stays very quiet. She's a beast is what she would be considered. I think I probably should say that. But she's a very retiring beast. She will, however, if someone that she cares about is threatened, she will go surprisingly and swiftly to a sort of very aggressive stance of attacking at whatever it is the cause of the problem. But other than that, she's incredibly quiet. So it's always very surprising for people.
Thank you so much. Next on the tabs on our character keeper, which are done in Google, we'll talk with Fade. Fade, please give us your pitch.
Yeah, Fade is an autumn darkling. And she appears to most people as like a young girl that dresses in black and white, like a young teenager, maybe 14, 15, something like that. In her changeling, visage, she is just a shadow that's just dripping and slightly out of focus. And she's very attached to Ungaily Gray, that we'll hear about in a second. And in the last episode, she lost the tie that she had to her family, a black and white picture.
Nice. We had some memories pulled out about that. And that's actually a mechanical thing I want to circle back to in a sec. Let's go with Ungaily Gray. Let's hear your pitch.
Ungainly Gray is a spring court. He is a troll, and his mask is a large man, over 6 feet tall, very strong, and his mien is a troll with huge curving horns and a deep voice. Gray, when he was across the hedge, when he served the Fae, he was a gristle grinder and a bit of a torturer, and he remembers that he tortured Fade during their durance. Luckily, Fade does not, but Gray fears the Zetcher Mercy might have ideas about what took place there.
And you're in the spring court, right?
Yes.
Okay. Zetcher's in winter, so a little oppositional there. All right. We'll come back to that. Thank you. Finally, last but certainly not least, is Echo, our wizened.
So yes, I'm playing Whispering Echo. He's a wizened changeling of the Winter Court. And he was taken off by his bright and glittering, shining keeper who used him and others as a sort of interpretational communication barrier between her and others who weren't as worthy to hear her words. So she had various people that would translate her words and meaning to others, and Echo was a painter. And that's how he translated her messages. And in the process of that, she took away all of these sort of unnecessary things that a translation bot shouldn't really need, like a name, an identity, or a voice. So like much of the party, he has problems with communications, crowds, and chaotic situations, and getting his message across. He looks like a...
Male or female?
Oh, the keeper?
No, your character. I know because we've got an image that looks faintly feminine to me, but you're saying he. So I want to make sure about what pronouns we should be using for you.
He's male.
Okay.
I've got a sort of mask picture of him up there, which I suppose would be the CW show version of him, because as far as I can tell, heterochromatic people are either beautiful or not pictured. So that's what I ended up landing on out of necessity.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was, of course, looking off to the side and seeing the prismatic queen. I apologize.
Ah, gotcha. Yes, that's my keeper there. Anyways, yes, Echo, he's got multicolored skin, sort of like a lava lamp mood ring, I think is how I described it. And his skin is almost like flexible, like the sort of skin you get on latex paint as it's drying, but still mobile. He has a tendency to piss off powerful people, which is unfortunate. But he's very touchy about his art, so I guess that's not surprising.
The one mechanical thing I want to say is you have a particular move that is a move that goes across the different courts, that Murmurs of Sorrow move. And each of the courts has essentially one related to their particular mood. So as it's written, it's a bad move. So because the way we've rewritten study now allows you to ask whatever you want. So here is how that's going to be revised. You can always ask about the sorrow in addition to whatever else you get from your study move. And I want to stress that you can find out things that the actual character themselves doesn't know, that you can pull on memories that maybe they don't themselves know. I'm
glad you pulled on that. That was a question I was going to ask, and actually the suggestion I was going to make. So that all works out perfectly.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I kind of don't like those moves that add new questions, and now we've rewritten study in a very particular way. So there's our mechanical discussion for today.
Yeah.
All right. So last time, in the short session that we had, we learned a number of things. We learned about the motley being among a fairly tight community of changelings that live in a compound that are fairly close together. I'm imagining it's sprawling. We've got a number of buildings, some of them connected together. We've got some grounds outside. We've established some buildings that have kind of been let go that some people live in. There's a woods that's kind of a threatening woods that's nearby the town that has werewolves. We haven't seen them yet. We don't know what they're about. But we know that this is on the coast. There's a beach. We know that there's kind of a bay, and there are various smaller islands out in the bay. We know that it's a small New England town, pretty tight and insular, but it does have a tourist trade. In fact, one of the things we discovered last time is that our group of changelings who live on this compound and kind of keep themselves isolated in their mask identities, one of the things they do is they do put on a Renaissance fair as a means of generating money, and that is coming up in a while, and that everybody kind of contributes to that. We also learned that Abyssinian Max is the Prince of Winter, and we also learned that Beckoncall is the Prince of Spring. So we've established two of the princes on the table there. And of course, we've got various things from the questions. Also on the NPCs tab, just to help anybody out, I did throw some more pictures at the very bottom of each of those columns. I didn't put any names, but if we need to add a person from a particular court, that's an easy resource, or you, of course, can drop your own images in there. That's just a quick and easy thing.
I just have to say that wooden girl in the Winter Court, I have been looking for that picture for like a year and a half for the Fellowship game that I was running and trying to find a reference for someone.
Oh, no. I love that picture. It's really striking. I can't tell if it's a photoshopped image or an actual sculpture. So
it's great. It's amazing.
So with that Ren Fair in mind, and with some of the tensions that we've had from last time, they know that the holes are appearing. They've seen them on the beach. They've seen them on the island. They've been other places. Right now, Beckoncall has asked some other people to look into it, and sort of, you don't have to worry about it kind of thing. Oh, yes, there is a farmer's market, and I imagine there's the equivalent of a rummage sale thieves market that goes on here that kind of trails into the Goblin Court. The kind of things, and antiques market. Around here they used to call them the thieves market, was the local thing, even though it's not that. But they had a vaguely racist picture on it too. Anyway, so we will set up with that. But I want to know, everybody has to do like the labor part of things for the Ren Fair, the hauling and lifting and the setup and that's all. There are people making schedules and that kind of thing. And you have out of town labor that comes in, some humans, and you also have some changelings, those very rare changelings that live on the road, that travel between freeholds. Very dangerous life, but they have their own rituals. Some of them usually come in to provide services, entertainment, selling, all of that kind of thing. So this is a really big event for the freehold. So Janie Magpie, what is it that you do at the Ren Fair?
Oh, I think that one of the things is with the Ren Fair is that though it's a lovely thing, one of the super important ideas is keeping the public out of certain areas. And so I think that what Janie Magpie does is she assists with weaving the magics that keep the public from wandering over into the orchards, because they're, of course, sort of all around that. And you can't have people going out into there, particularly if there's spraying going on or, those kinds of things. So it's just that kind of thing of, you can't have them go out into the orchards because A, harm may come to them, but B, they may harm the orchard.
Now, you have those orchards there. One of the key things in Changeling Lost is this idea of hedge fruits, of fruits and things that grow actually in the hedge that have magic to them, that have power to them, that you actually have to go into the hedge to harvest. Is there a connection there?
Yes, we've been spending this century or so trying to increase that connection, if that makes any sense. we group the fruits, we prune the fruits, we do a lot of things that don't look particularly ordinary for regular orchards. I mean, they're not way off, but we do a lot of things of like the way that we sculpt the trees or prune the trees to grow in a certain way. That's actually for an analog of what's going on in the hedge nearby. So we are attempting to grow hedge fruit and to grow them in a certain way by sympathy.
And
can
I
I ask
imagine.
a question
Oh
real
yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
I was just wondering that whole like sculpting of this hedge orchard. Do you see that as something that particularly the Autumn Court does as their sort of purview over the hedge, or is that something that permeates all the courts?
Well, here's the thing: is that what happens is there's different kinds of handling that occurs in an orchard at different times of years. So, for instance, the pruning and stuff happens at, I think there's two different kinds. So there's spring pruning and fall pruning. So essentially those things happen, and that's how the courts also shape that as well. So,
Nice.
essentially, does that make any sense? And then, of course, in the
Yeah.
summer, it's about trying to keep away the pests. And in winter, it's mostly just about cleaning it up.
I'm almost seeing it as like a seasonal, like a garden calendar, sort of like a flower clock, but over the year, it's just these different types of hedge things pop up. That's really cool.
That may be more the signal of the transition of the different courts as well. If it's tied to that. So let me move on to then Fade. Fade, what do you do for the Ren Fair?
So I think that my mask job, my normal job for the people.
You're a little quiet.
Okay, I can fix that.
Sorry.
Is that better?
Just a little bit better, yeah.
Okay. I think what I actually do is my mask job is there's a little haunted house area, and I jump out and scare some of the patrons. I'm good at that. My main job is I actually slip into the shadows from place to place, keeping an eye on which of the patrons are either the most intoxicated or the most distracted and would therefore spend the most money. And I make sure that the people who would bilk them in the right way find out.
Okay. So you're not quite carnies, but there is sort of the attempt to maximize profit. Okay, I like that.
We are, of course, business people. Yes.
Right. All right. Ungainly Gray, or Gray, as I'm going to refer to him. You expressed last time that you lift that barge, tote that bale quite a bit. But what else do you do for the Ren Fair? I know Beckencall was asking about, if you might be trying something new.
Oh, well, if there are problems with people who need to be escorted out, I can do that. I tried throwing axes, but that didn't go well.
What happened?
I just kept splitting the targets, and I hit a car.
I picture the inset. We would see the axe hitting the car and the car alarm going off. Of course, car lifts up a little and then drops back down.
I was quite frightened.
All right, and what is your general approach to this? Are you just intimidation, or do you even talk to them before you kind of lift them and move them out? How do you bounce?
How do I bounce? I try to explain. Perhaps this is not the best choice. Everyone is here to have a good time, and you're causing them to not have a good time by being selfish. Perhaps you should stop doing that. Oh, okay. And then I pick them up.
Okay.
And I carry them out.
And you're 6 foot something in your masked form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and big. All right. And 8 foot something in your mean, right?
Indeed.
Super tall. Awesome.
Dumping. Sometimes my horns scrape the ceiling. It's very embarrassing. I popcorn ceiling is the worst.
I imagine what you're saying is probably rooms in the various houses and buildings that have those kind of scrapes along the ceilings and along the door frames for
And
various
I look
changelings.
like I have dandruff. It's embarrassing.
Awesome. Now, this is what I'm really curious about, since we've established some labors that Echo has done before. What is your role in the Ren Fair?
I think for this particular Ren Fair, especially given his recent interactions with Beck and Call, you see Echo like sort of unhappily stuck in this bright, many-colored sort of jester's outfit, and he's been set to wander through the Ren Fair somewhere between like an artistic mime and teller, of going out and interacting with the public and doing like paintings and caricatures and drawings of people, in like it's very much just almost what he would choose to do. It's all so close that no one would question that, like, obviously that's what Echo's out there doing, but it's all the like performative and interacting with mass public that really sets him off about it. Yeah.
So, what does Echo do when Echo is asked to do the face painting for the kids?
I mean, it's a court, it's in public, we're all trying to work together in this community. So the first 5 or 6 kids, I mean, it's a very artistic, nice face painting job. It's just when he gets a little worked up in his emotions and sort of bored in it, when they start walking away with perfectly normal face paints that scream like horrible, terrible monster, or everything around you is on fire, or things like that when other people look at them.
Yeah, and that'll be the point at which someone from the Spring Court will come over and go, I'm gonna need you to take that down all the notches.
So just a small fire?
Just no. And eventually someone will realize it's a bad idea to have you there, and they'll swap you out for someone else. Surprisingly, Hotspot Tapebacks from the Autumn Court is very good at it, because he permanently has face paint on. So we've got a couple of options here, and I want to poll the table. I can go around and we can kind of do some individual scenes to check in where everybody's at, or I can bring everybody together, kind of hard frame that. Since I always start with Sherry, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start with asking the last person. So Echo, what do you think?
Oh, what was the question again? Sorry.
The question is, should we kind of do a once around for individual things to kind of check in where everybody's at? Or would you prefer to do a scene where we draw everybody together?
I don't know. I'm sort of curious in exploring the weird corners of this Ren Fair.
Okay. Do you think the Ren Fair has started, or is it going on? What would you think?
I think it's going on. It's always more interesting to try and walk that line of public and private.
So just after the Holes incident, things are getting set up. So we're in that sort of first stage of the Ren Fair, the early days of that. And you've still got some chips on your shoulder, right, Echo?
Perpetually.
Perpetually. Of course, you got the thing. Beck and Call has been kind of messing with you. And you've got some tensions with the other prince, Abyssinian Max. So what's on your agenda here?
This outfit is wildly uncomfortable, and I really don't like this job. I would much rather be off in a corner somewhere where people that appreciate the artistic things that I bring to this world can find me and seek me out, rather than me like having to impose myself on everyone. But I'm stuck in a corner here with Beck and Call, because I'm remembering right. He's sort of like running this particular Ren Fair.
It is spring right now.
Yeah.
Yes. It's all good.
So I need someone. I think I probably would end up trying to appeal to Max to try and find someone powerful who could get me out of this job, or at least shift things.
So you will go to Max. The Winter Court are very much sort of the behind the scenes people. They have a few people that are up and more active in there. Certainly Ashwine is kind of a show off, so he likes to be in the middle of things. They keep Sarah No Tears in the first aid tent, the physiker, because otherwise she starts yelling at people. And you'll find Abyssinian Max. He's there. He likes walking around. There's lots of shiny things. He is given to watch streamers in the wind, and had to shake himself out of that. And you will approach, and he's like, "Oh, hey, how are things going?"
So I think I keep trying to talk to him, but like I have these little jingly bells on my jester outfit. I think it keeps distracting him. No, okay, I'm gonna take the hat off and stuff it in my pocket so it stops.
That's for both of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just this is not me. This is very. I mean, couldn't Hopscotch be doing? He's really good at the face, and I have other talents.
You want me to get you out of this?
Out of this, out of here, out of this.
He says, "I would be more than happy to step in and assist you in this matter."
Oh, that's you don't know how relieving that is. I mean, everything here about this whole fair has just been like.
No problem.
It's just I'm relieved that someone isn't trying to just take advantage or manipulate situations. I appreciate your helpfulness.
Well, I will be glad to do this favor for you. You accept that I will do this for you?
And I think that's sort of the like hiccup moment for Echo of oh wait, he'll pull out the hat and sort of jingle it in front of him.
No, you can hang on to the hat. I'll go do this. And we have a contract? And he will go and do that. Does that seem like a fair thing, or did you want to try and maybe make a move? I mean, he's doing the standard thing. You asked him for something. He said he would do it. You agreed, and that means that you would owe him a debt.
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. So he will accept that, and he will get you out of this. What is the thing you're set on that is maybe not the awesome that you wanted?
I think I probably, because Fade had mentioned like a haunted house, scary sort of like maze area. And I think rather than what would be his ideal situation of, like I said, like being off in a corner working one-on-one with like patrons who really want an artistic thing, I'm set in the haunted house to have these like prismatic color shifting walls that sort of heighten the tension and fear in people. But I have to stay in the background and act like it's all just a special effects trick, and I don't get to one-on-one with people.
It's nice you don't have to deal with the maddening crowd. So there is that. Let me cut to Gray. Gray, do you have something on your agenda that you want to do, or someone you want to talk to, or do you want me to throw something to you?
I think you should throw something at me.
So you will be there, wandering around the yard, as it were, and you will see Songbird Rex. He's doing sort of the strongman show part of things, the sort of the circus performer kind of thing, dressed up like the village blacksmith, hauling things around. He's still a pretty big guy, and he definitely shoots you a look, and you can feel the weight of that Zune in your pocket when he stares at you. And you will hear, "Oh, Gray," that sort of lilting voice, and you see in the most risque kind of barmaid wench outfit for the Ren Fair. The cleavage leaves almost nothing to the imagination. Gloriana Twofold is there, and she has kind of drifted up before you. Gray.
Gloriana, you look nice.
That is very nice of you to say. How are things going?
Everything is good. No one is causing trouble, and all of the big things are moved.
I saw that your friend Echo was speaking with Abyssinian Max.
Were they?
Yeah, seems like Abyssinian Max has pulled him away from his duties and sent him on to something else. I know how much you worry about Max and how he might be hurting the ones that you care about.
He's trouble. I think he's a cat. So.
Do you think that's why he is the way he is?
Echo is in trouble with Abyssinian Max. He reaches down and puts a hand on her shoulder and kind of pats it. And then when he brings his hand up, like his hand just gently brushes the tip of her ear, almost like it's accidental, except he's totally fascinated with her big ears. And I should figure out what Max is making Echo do.
Gray. And she leans in close so that the perfume that she's wearing, all that, and she smells really good. Like summer fruit.
Yeah. Like, what does she smell like?
Like it's like summer fruit. Like when you go out and you smell the fruit at the market, that sort of rolls off of her. I've always said that you're really wasted at the spring court. You would be so welcome. Your wonderful blazing heart at the summer court.
Thank you very much.
And she'll back away. She leaves that her perfume. It's not heavy, like the cloud of it, but it certainly lingers for longer than you would expect when she drifts away.
No, he just closes his eyes and just enjoys that scent for a few moments, and then he'll tromp over to try to find Echo.
Okay. And that's another thing. Again, when you open your eyes, again, you see Songbird. Watch that whole interaction. and maybe even more dagger eye.
Nice.
And we'll have you head over to Echo, and we'll come back to you on that. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, just so you know, like there's a moment where I walk just close towards Songbird Rex and I hum the tune to Hip Hop Hooray, which is one of the songs on the Zune that he had a star beside. Just hum.
You'll hear, the sound that Smaug makes in The Hobbit, that sort of low undercurrent rumble. That comes out of him when you drift by.
Lovely.
Let's come to then Fade. Are you working? Are you on break? Are you still worried about that photo? What are you up to?
So I think what's just happened is I am working the crowd, looking for marks, as it were, whenever I come across a missing 4 or 5-year-old child. She's crying in the middle of the trail that we have there, and I think this hits me really hard, and I think I step out of my little booth where I'm supposed to be scaring people, and go over to her and kind of take her by the hand and tell her, let's calm down. I can help, and it'll be okay. And I kind of look around to see if anyone's paying attention, parents are coming by or anything. And then I'm going to go find Gray.
Okay.
Because I think that, he'll take good care of her while I look for her parents.
I will say that as you are heading off, you will hear this voice kind of cut through, sort of sharp, cuts through, and it says, Jesus wept, you look like the last person who should be helping a little girl. And you will see Sarah No Tears is kind of stomping up to you like she's going to take charge.
Oh, okay. And I say, don't pay too much attention to the bad lady. We'll take care of things, to the little girl.
Okay.
It'll be fine. And I say, just stay behind me.
So Sarah No Tears it kind of gets up in your face. You're both small people. So there's the real eye contact there. And she's like, I'll take her to the information desk. You shouldn't get your gook on her.
She's very scared, and I think you might make things worse.
Worse than you?
Much worse. And I think that I know someone who can take better care of her.
All right. So you kind of want to like conflict with her, it sounds like. We're kind of pushing back and forth here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you want to get her to kind of step down. What do you want to roll with to do that?
Let's see. I think this is I think she's making me mad.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to be rolling with anger.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have you roll then with anger.
Okay. Oh, I got a 5.
So mark your anger, first of all.
Okay.
And how does she shut you down?
So I think that what she does is she leans in very close to me and says, you can never protect her, and neither can anyone you know. And then steps around, takes her by the hand, and walks off towards the medical tent.
Right. Yeah. And when she does that, you see her whole posture, emotions change. She's a wizened physiker, so you see her drop into her bedside manner, and she has a lollipop for the girl, and she does that, and she's charming, and she's sweet, and then she looks up at you with that sort of last glance of you're just not good enough. And she'll move her over to the info desk. Does that seem cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Sherry, let's come back to Jeannie Magpie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have something you want to do? Or do you want me to just throw something at you?
Well, I kind of know what she would be doing. So when the actual thing is going on, there's like, they always have a thing of, there's the ale house that they have, but next to the ale house, they keep like a apple bobbing thing, because it's easy to get the drunk guys to challenge them. And so there's always a couple of changelings who are out there trying to bring people in, but she's the one who actually sets up the apple dunking thing for them and sort of watches, like, you know, that she really cares who wins, to actually make it more appealing. Yeah, so she does this, you know, and all of that sort of thing.
Awesome. Then the drunks are getting in there and they're splashing, you know, and you've gotten like the thickest skinned apples in there, so that even when they kind of get a bite on it, they can't quite. There might be some enchantments there as well to keep them moving. You will see across questions so loud.
Okay.
Who you've had some run-ins with, and she's part of the summer court, and she's kind of at the entryway, and you see her talking to a changeling that you don't recognize. You've seen a few of the new ones that have come in to work, but this is not one that you recognize.
What do I know about Echoes So Loud?
You tell me. This is your rival.
It is?
Yes. So you had on your sheet.
Sorry, you're right. Oh my gosh.
So we know she's summer court. She's she's a storm soul elemental. She kind of in the picture that we have of her, we see that there's kind of almost this wave and storm that washes over and changes her appearance as it roils across her.
Okay.
And she's in the summer court, so that means she is one of the warriors of the Freehold.
And she is sort of she turns really blustery and forceful, like on the turn of a dime. Okay, so I might just see if I can get over there to hear what's going on, get a sense of the situation, figure out if I need to protect someone or get someone to protect someone, or if they're up to no good.
So I think you really want to get some important information here. I think this is going to be kind of changing the game state. Does it feel like a study to you?
Sure.
Okay.
It does.
So what do you want to roll with as you kind of make your way through the crowd over? And the changeling she's talking to actually has horns, like a deer horns, but they still got that sort of fuzz on them.
Oh, okay. Well, particularly if it's a beast. Okay. Gosh. Well, might as well go straight to fear here, right? Doesn't that seem like the thing? Sure. This could go terribly wrong. Okay. So I'm going to roll. Oh, 5 plus 2 is 7. Just squeaked through.
Just squeak out of that. So on the study, it means you gain 1 hold to spend to ask a question about the situation or about the person, or you can reveal a detail, like something that's significant here that you want to establish. In PbtA, we can always establish facts. These are significant things, big changes to the fiction.
Can I get my basic information before I ask the question?
Yeah, so it seems like that this changeling is clearly one of the travelers, but they're upset and it sounds like maybe something has happened to the rest of his group.
All right. Well, suppose that summer court's on security detail. So what is the nature of the thing that has happened, in case it's whole related or something?
So what has happened is that they had someone go missing on the road. They were essentially it's him and 3 others. They were looking around for them, and they actually got stopped by some of the local police, and they got arrested, and they're actually in the little jail, which is a bad thing because the jail actually has these iron bars. It's a real old school one. You don't know why. The freehold doesn't know why, but it has actually things that can actually hold the changelings in those jail cells.
All right. So I think that at this point, that's a political influence thing, and I actually think that I need to go to my prince to talk about that, because it would be Autumn Court that would probably be in the best situation to be able to get that handled.
So tell me, since we don't know this yet, who is the prince of the Autumn Court?
Oh my goodness, Lowell, why haven't you done anything with this freehold?
I'm letting you guys choose their princes, so tell me who it is.
Okay. So I almost think it has to be Hopscotch Takebacks, because he's a grifter. So he's always like, getting a little bit extra for stuff and getting people kind of conned. But he's really good at figuring out what he can get. And he's just sort of he sort of swung too good of a bargain and ended up the prince. Like, he got more than he bargained for in the one time, and he's there. And he's like really bound.
The Puss in Boots trade up.
Exactly. He traded up, but then he traded up a few hops higher than he meant to at the end there.
Okay.
Intoxicated by it.
That sounds good to me. Okay. We'll come back to you on that scene. I think that Gray, you and Echo, you were trying to find Echo?
I was.
Echo, where does Gray find you?
I think he finds me in the sort of back wings of that haunted maze. And there's, currently there's a couple of groups going through the maze and sort of shrieking and reacting and giggling and laughing, that sort of thing.
So that's where you come upon.
Echo, do you have a minute?
He'll look sort of distractedly at you, but
Gray will just put a hand on, like, a couple fingers on your shoulder and try to guide you away. What is Max making you do?
Oh, well, and then there's just like shrieks of laughter, and he tries to explain, like, see, I went to, and then there's just like a scream of someone running across something unexpected, and he gets sort of flustered and he can't find his words, and you can tell that he's like really upset by this situation. Like, he's wanting to say something very important to you, but he can't. And I think in the background, which I think Gray probably doesn't notice, but the people that are in the maze, they start reacting differently and saying things like, "Oh, it's actually not that bad in here. I'm really glad we came out of the sun and all those crowds into this place. I like it in here." But I think that's like Echo's message getting miscast, sort of thing.
When do you have a break so we can talk without interruptions?
he'll sort of like make an eating motion, like I've got lunch is in an hour or so.
I will find you then, so you can work without distraction.
I'm going to pause here to frame in something, if I may.
Sure.
That this is probably the point at which Fade returns back to see Whispering, Echo, and Gray, just because of the noise. They have to be kind of close together, lean together. And you see them in what looks like a very intimate conversation, Fade.
So Fade is very upset. She's very sad. And goes up to Gray and kind of pulls on his hand. He's huge.
You're about to speak, Gray, and suddenly, Doug.
Oh, what is wrong?
Sarah No Tears took a little girl. She's missing. She's lost.
I think Echo like blanches sort of black and white in a bit of a shocked echo of Fade. Just trying to think of another word and couldn't.
Let's go. An hour. We will talk then.
And I think you hear from the people inside, like, "Oh, I guess we sort of have time to go do something else now. We should leave this place." But he's just stuck there with his job, and he can't quite tell you. But I'll come help.
Cool. Well, then the four of us will go and look.
So you three will head to essentially to the first aid tent to go and confront Sarah No Tears. I'm going to say, as you are heading over there across through the crowds, and again, we've got if you've ever been to a Ren Fair, any kind of outdoor thing, you've got all that smell of the turkey legs and the pickles, and we've got the filk singers. What do you do with a drunken sailor? All of that kind of thing. And that's all going around in the noise and smoke, the clang of the blacksmith, at the annoying minstrels who gravitate and lean in to bug you as you're walking along. But that's a point at which I will say that Jenny Magpie pops out of the crowd. You see the three of them marching determinedly.
Okay. She'll slide up, like behind them. I assume Fade's there, and she'll sort of tug on Fade's, sleeve and look at her like with her eyebrows raised, like what's going on.
So Fade has like tear streaks coming down her face, and says, "There's the missing girl, and we're gonna go find her parents." And Sarah No Tears is mean.
Mean. She'll pat the tears on your cheek, and she'll fall in step, and she'll go, "We'll look for the missing girl, but there's a changeling that was traveling here went missing as well." She sort of stops. And she goes, "And there's I have to talk to the prince." Okay.
I kind of tug on Gray and I say, "More people are missing. More people are missing."
Sarah No Tears doesn't seem like a kid thief. We should find out what's happening.
Oh, she didn't steal the kid. She's just mean and took the kid back to the tent. The parents are the ones that are missing.
Oh. Huh. Still.
And she sort of stops and she goes, "Do we have to go talk to Sarah No Tears?"
Yes.
so mean.
And I think we can cut to the first aid tent, which is set up there. The standard first, table and such, and it's open to the public. And you will see that there's Sarah No Tears, and she is speaking kind of animatedly with this woman. Maybe she's in her mid-20s, and there you'll see a little girl who's sitting there who has like a lollipop, and she has a little coloring book, and she's just kind of doodling there while Sarah No Tears is engaged in this conversation. And she'll kind of look up, and No Tears sees the four of you approaching, and she does this thing. And she continues talking to this woman.
What is she saying?
She's-
Janie will still go up to listen.
Okay. She's saying, so you hear her, she is berating this woman for having let her daughter wander off, and she doesn't really care how drunk her boyfriend is. She needs to get her shit together and call a cab or an Uber or whatever we have around here, and get yourself home and get out of this relationship. And she is like quietly, tightly laying into this woman who is just absolutely on the verge of tears, and she's doing it in such a way that the girl can't quite hear it, but your ears will kind of burn.
So mean.
With Sarah No Tears being so angry, I'm actually going to hide. The tent has like flickering shadows, I think, from the sun outside and the leaves and the trees and everything. And I'm actually just going to hide in those inside the shadows.
And I think Echo will actually go over to the little girl sitting on her cot and coloring, and he'll sort of look at her questioningly as he like reaches for one of the crayons, and like I think she nods, and he starts coloring with her, and sort of like they make these increasingly intricate murals on the little pages of this coloring book.
And No Tears kind of pauses. You see her kind of look around for Fade, kind of snorts a little when she realizes that Fade's gone hiding, and she'll turn to you, Gray. Gray.
Yes.
I need your help.
We're here to help.
Good. This is for the Ren Fair. But this young woman, someone needs to escort her and her daughter out to the front gate and call some kind of transport for them.
Because she is drunk?
She is not drunk. What passes for her boyfriend is slopped down inside one of the wench houses, demonstrating his lack of ability to provide for her.
He looks over to the woman. He's terrible.
She's barely holding it together right now.
You should drop that 0 and get a hero.
I just want to go. That incoherent babble will start up there, Gray. It seems like she might actually pitch over the edge into hysterical crying right now, unless something is done.
But we will find you a way home. Do not worry.
You want to try and talk her down?
Yes. I'll try.
Okay. This seems like I think this is a challenge for you. We're not really doing a support for the group, so let's have you stay strong here.
Okay.
The passive voice of PbtA.
Here we go. I honestly feel Gray's feeling pretty calm about this. This is kind of a thing he has to do. So,
Perfect.
Let me crap. Which is the tab that has the link to the? Dang it! I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. If you look under the
beta, is it in character creation? Where's that?
I think it's
There
in
it is. I
character
found it. Awfully complete one. Oh, the gigantically old dice. I love it. I have rolled a 7 and I'm calm, so that's a 0. So it is a mixed success.
So I think you walk away from this. You do calm her down, but it's not pretty. Like you end up looking really kind of awkward in this situation. Does that seem fair?
That's fair and not unexpected.
But yeah, you can get her calmed down. She's kind of on the edge of that. It's that sort of in between. And if you want, you can do it as Terra No Tears asks and get her and her daughter out to transport.
Yes, I will get them out to call. And do we have Ubers here?
Actually, I had to call a cab.
I will get out and call her a cab, but I'll call it a lift so it sounds fancier.
Okay.
So while he's talking her down and they're getting that set up, like I really am trying to keep the girl distracted. And I think I picked up like her red crayon and started coloring with her. But after a minute, the red crayon starts like coloring blue and green and yellow and whatever I need it to for the moment. I think she sort of like gasps and stops sort of thing. And I hand it to her. And we turn to a blank page and I start sort of like probing her and questioning her a little bit with looks. And I'd like to try and study her mostly for the Murmurs of Sorrow, just because I do want to check out that things really are bad / aren't worse than people are saying.
Sure. Let's have you. What do you want to roll with?
I think maybe it's fear, as like this girl was sort of lost and afraid, and even if Sarah No Tears is keeping things quiet, I think she can still sort of sense the tension of everything going on. No, you stupid mouse. Choose the things. Oh dear. That's a 6.
That's a 6, is it?
And like I said, I'm still going for what is their greatest sorrow, but otherwise it's 6.
So let's see here. I think the good news is you get to mark experience, right?
Oh, lovely! I level up.
So you level up. You are talking to her and kind of doing that, and it requires you to kind of invoke some of your glamour and so on, and and to kind of do this. And her greatest sorrow is that her father left, and her mom has this new boyfriend, and she just wishes that she were anywhere else. She just wishes she could be somewhere else. And that's the point at which the hole opens up under her and she plummets into the hedge.
Oh, fuck.
So, Gray, you're starting to move this woman out to get this, and you figure that your companions are going to bring her daughter. And this woman goes, oh, we have to get my daughter, sir.
Oh, yes. My friends are helping. He looks back.
Janie, you've probably seen this happen, and now you see that Gray is about to try and come back for the daughter that you no longer have.
Well,
and also Echo is getting ready to dive in the hole.
Exactly. When the hole opens up and the little girl goes through, I think that Janie just goes floop right down there. Like there's no hesitation.
And what about you, Fade?
So I think, if you don't mind, I'm going to roll back a little bit. I think
Sure.
as soon as the mother mentioned that the boyfriend was in, or maybe Sarah No Tears did, or someone mentioned where the boyfriend was, I think Fade immediately goes there,
Okay.
right? And she wants to first see why someone would leave their child like this, and then probably, if she doesn't think it's good enough, scare him. So that's kind of her job here.
Sure. This is a guy who has had far too much ale, created by Semolina Pilchard, your brewer for the Freehold, and he is handsy with the hands on the wenches who are serving, and he seems to be enjoying the show in the most bad way. And unfortunately, they are looking for security, but they haven't been able to find Gray.
So I think that whenever, this guy has shown himself just to be a complete tool, and I think once Fade sees that, she's going to lash out at him and frighten him to the point where he will have an unpleasant time, at least. Yeah.
Okay. What is it? So you're going to use your haunt the darkness?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. So that allows you to do that. Describe to me what that looks like, and then we'll have you roll with advantage on that.
Yeah, so I think the way that this looks is he's grinning and enjoying the show and leering at one of the wenches, and then he sees this part of the shadows kind of reach out at him in this horrible face, like it's going to consume him, and we'll see what the roll says.
Okay,
right?
So roll 3 dice, take the highest. What are you rolling with?
I think I'm going to roll with power.
Okay.
That sounds right, yeah. Ha! I got a 6.
You got a 6.
Yeah.
So
do I mark power?
So yeah, so you will mark power.
Okay.
And I marked fear a minute ago. That's right.
Yeah. You get to take an XP, and I think that when your shadows roll over him, you will feel this kind of tremor, like a sympathetic tremor, and he just drops into the ground.
Oh.
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Great. So you've turned around to look and see where your compatriots are. I mean, you're maybe 10 feet away, and you will see them drop into a hole. The child is nowhere to be seen.
Actually, I wanted to edit one thing real quick because
Okay,
I had marked fear, and one of the keywords for it is paralyzed.
Okay.
So I think, like, as Janie goes rushing past me in like feathers and spikes, the whole situation has just confused me and caught me up, and I'm standing there with like one crayon and I don't know what to do, and there's just like spikes of panicky yellow and green sort of shooting all over his body.
So that's what you see, Gray. Your body is between that and the mother.
We are really bad at our job. I will turn to the woman and say, "You need to wait. The car has already been called for. Your daughter is right over there." And I point vaguely where I see as many people as possible.
Okay. So that seems pretty easy. I don't think. I mean, you've already kind of have got that situation. I will say that you will get a breather. She's gonna go over there. She's gonna come back. So you've kind of delayed that, but you've got some room. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. And you will see there standing above the hole is Echo, and this hole is starting to close.
We'll go and try to hold it open, because last time I was able to just stick a tree down there. So
Right. So you kind of go and grab at it, and it almost looks like a well. It goes down.
I look
And it is definitely, the earth is definitely pushing against you. Sarah No Tears has moved to shut the blinds on the first aid tent so that people can't see in here.
Okay. I will stick my head in the hole.
Okay.
Okay, come this way, wherever you are.
And you probably don't hear anything. It looks like they've fallen a long way down.
Who's not here? Like, who has left? Because I know that
You don't see Fade. You don't see Janie Magpie. Echo is standing there kind of shaking. The little girl's gone as well.
Echo. How? What? We need a rope.
I think you see Echo's eyes. They're that like panicked yellow and green. I think they just sort of swirl down into black depths like the hole here, and he just looks around like I don't a rope. I don't what?
But they're down the hole in a well.
Uh-huh.
Sarah, this is partially your fault for being mean.
She does this.
Point taken.
I'm going to cut from you. Think about that. Over to Fade. Fade. Guy vanishes into a hole.
And I can tell that this hole goes to the hedge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I dive in after him.
Okay. So you will dive down in. You fell in last time, right?
Yes.
This is deeper.
Oh, okay.
And there is probably that shot of you going down a tunnel down into the darkness, to where this guy has fallen. Janie, you will. Going to have you actually roll stay strong. I think here. This is a physical action. I think.
Okay. What kind of, so anything I choose, right?
Yeah.
Probably power, just because that is, you say, this is hedge. This is where your changelingness is tested. So, okay, we'll give that a try.
Okay.
Oh my God, what is with these dice today? So that's a 6.
Okay. So you will roll down, hit the bottom, and kind of keep rolling. And you will roll. You will mark the stat, and you roll into a set of like vines, but they're a little more mechanical, and they grab onto you. And you'll look up, and you can see the little girl, and you can see that you're in some kind of hedge like area, one of those places that opens up, and it's like a bunch of little factories, and you will see these like Rube Goldberg style moving trays and things like that. You'll see several dozen hobs in like industrial wear. And you see that they're putting things in, and it looks like they're manufacturing holes. And the whole place has this weird soundtrack. this noise that's going on sort of perpetually behind it, and you'll hear do 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 on sort of continuous loop. I think this is actually a good place for us to take our 5-minute break. It will be a delight to describe that to Gray in a second. So we will take 5 and come back in the fun factory.
Okay.
Okay.
Lol. Can you take a look at where I changed the Murmurs of Sorrow move on my page?
Sure.
Does that look right? Should it have an even on a fail clause?
Yeah, it probably should say even on a fail.
Okay, cool.
So Lowell, I also have something that adds questions to study. Is that an issue?
Let's take a look at yours here. That's right. So that's always an additional question. So in addition to what you get in study, you get those.
Okay.
You get one of those. Yeah. We'll get Sherry back. And
sorry, I was back. I've improved my self-muting to also having my camera off.
So what I want to do, I want to do fade, and then I want to come to the two that are upstairs, and then I'm going to swing back to Janie. So that's the sort of sequence that I want to work in. So fade, I need you to roll a stay strong here as you tumble down.
Okay. And I think I'm going to roll this with fear because this is scary. And yeah. And I got a 12.
Look at you. So you roll down this sort of well/arcing shaft and roll up. The guy is splayed out in front of you, and you will look up and you will see those factories. You will see the weird metal hedge like coil. You'll see these hobgoblins in like little industrial outfits, like overalls and stuff. They look like Soviet worker images from the 1920s, with little hats that are green, these outfits, and they're running these machines and they are manufacturing holes. And you hear that music playing in the background on this 8-second, 10-second loop. And the whole place kind of runs and rumbles with it. And with your 12, I'm going to say you will see Janie Magpie like wrapped up in a bunch of metal thorn coil.
Okay. So I think I immediately, I don't give a shit about this guy. Okay.
Right.
He's just there. But I'm desperately looking around for my photograph. And where I see Janie Magpie, I think I'm going to run over to her and start, did you see the picture? And I start pulling the thorns off if I can. It's got to be here somewhere.
And she's, yeah, and I think Janie's just like the little girl, and she points to her as soon as she can get an arm free.
The little girl is kind of wandering sort of in a daze into the middle of the factory floor.
Oh, and I'm going to run towards the little girl then.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you here. You're getting Janie out of those coils, and that. So you're holding this open, Gray, and it's pushing against closing. You actually see maybe it even looks like the tunnel itself is starting to kind of close up. What do you want to do?
This is a tent. I'll grab a tent pole.
Okay.
I'll shove it down the hole.
Okay. So I will say that's no problem. Kind of with one hand, try to keep this open and reach and grab this tent pole and shove the pole down into there. It goes further than this pole.
Where are you? Can you hear me? Come to the voice.
In the distance, you hear.
So I see Gray there struggling and sort of calm as ever, and I think I look into his eyes and like force some calm onto myself. You say this is a whole I can tell directly into the hedge, right?
Yeah, it goes down pretty far. It looks like.
What? How does the hedge manifest in here? In this hole, is it like spiky vines or like barbed wire, or what's going on?
See, here's the thing: is usually you're used to the hedge. When you go into that around here, you have a sense of it's very that sort of classic thorns and green and lush and stuff. This looks different, like it's darker and blacker and more metal. And it is much more like it's kind of smooth, like it is definitely a shaft that goes down a ways.
I want to reach out. Okay, this is I guess meta level. This is drawing from Changeling the Lost concepts that aren't necessarily in your rules here. So on the idea that the hedge feeds on glamour, that it's psychoreactive and can be molded if you bribe it, basically. I'd like to try and bleed out glamour, take harm, or something like that to try and mold the hedge vines around this pole into sort of like a ladder that we can go down.
Interesting. I like that. So one of the things is there are some head shaping moves.
Oh,
that are the elemental has. So
gotcha.
The way that we handle that is this is you invoking a contract.
Cool. Okay.
Because you are going to try and use your abilities to kind of almost simulate another move here, with a more of a risk to it in some ways.
Cool.
So what do you want to roll with here? See, he's got that pole down there, kind of trying to grab onto those thorns.
Yeah, I think this is very much me trying to be calm and emulate Gray here and take his lead.
Perfect. Now, let me stop you there, because let's talk about a mechanic. Since Gray is there with you, the way that we do the aid action is that support action, a little bit like how Masks does it, where you can clear a question, clear a condition if you want. So that's the way that you can aid someone.
Or add trust, and trust can help with rolls, right?
And you can
add
add trust.
Doing trust?
Yeah. Essentially, you generate a trust that can be immediately spent for a +1 if you wanted. Not that Rich has to do that, and I don't think it makes sense since he's doing the other stuff here. But I just wanted to talk about the mechanics so we know how to do that, because it's always one of those.
If it's obvious that Echo is trying to do a thing, then absolutely Gray will help. And I'm willing to do that.
Sure. How is it that you assist?
So what is Faye trying to do? He's trying to talk to a thing about.
I'm trying to sort of feed power into the hedge walls, the vines and plants that make up the hedge, and convince them to grow in a shape that I want them to make sort of a ladder for us to go down.
Yeah. So he's kind of drawing on the glamour and the Fey magic to take your tent pole and make it solid.
Ah, wow, that's neat. I think Gray he'll try to remember that those moments when he was over during his durance, when he would just fall to the will of the more powerful Fae and do what they want, support them. So does
dark DCU dark. Let's have you go ahead and roll support. Are you rolling with power then, or calm?
Yeah, I think power makes sense here.
Okay.
Roll my gargantuan old dice. I roll a 6 + 2, an 8.
Okay. So you can clear a condition on them if they want to clear one of their stats, or they can take a +1 on their roll.
Your choice. What would you like?
To remember whether I'm muted or unmuted. The trust thing on the situational move says advantage.
Yeah,
For a
that's right.
roll.
Sorry, it's not +1, it's advantage, right?
I'd go with advantage. Our rolls have been sufficiently mean this time that I
Yes.
feel scared of them.
They've been terrible. It's like Shane went into the die roller and tuned it downwards for the weekend.
Okay, come on, just give me another die. Okay, so I'm gonna re-roll these 3.
Okay.
And I'm doing calm. Ooh, 9 + 1, I believe.
It's a 10.
Yes, it's 10.
So we will see that tent pole kind of get moved and pulled a little bit, Rich, and then we'll see those vines of the hedge. That's what's kind of made up, kind of form, and it forms this ladder going down, kind of vanishes out of sight down into the hedge, and that seems to kind of brace this hole open. What is the catch, Patrick? What is the sort of little price that you have to pay to do this magic?
I think it's sort of like he said. He's like reaching into this hole and feeling around into the darkness until he finds those hidden thorns that he knows has to be there. And I think it like cuts open his hand and arm there, and he just starts bleeding colors out and down this well, which is what the whatever the vines are sort of like search in on and suck up and use as their power.
Perfect. And because you rolled a 10 plus, the catch is just purely fiction, so it doesn't do anything mechanical to you. You just have that kind of wound in your hand there.
Okay.
And now there is a ladder down deep, and down to where the music is playing. Do you guys descend or stay here and shout?
Sarah, if the mother comes back in, just be mean to her.
She goes, I can do that.
I will go first.
Okay. So you two can descend down. I cut from you two over to Janie. Fade has pulled you out of this weird razor wire brambles that you fell into. And you two can see this big factory floor, kind of, half built, that Rube Goldberg contraptions, several dozen hobs working, those holes getting rolled off, and that little girl kind of dazedly, you know how the hedge does to normal people. It starts to pull away their memories.
Right. And so I sort of look at Faye and I say, little girl, picture. And I sort of spring over to that little girl and like take her hand, if I can do that. It's not like a big thing, but it's like I just got to get a hold of her so we can lead her back as soon as we find out, or at least keep her from interacting with the hedge so much that it takes too much away.
I don't think we necessarily need to roll. If you just go over and grab onto her hand, and that's the thing you really want to do right now, kind of get to shake her, you can do that without rolling. The hobs are starting to notice you, and you will see further on down as you come up, Fade, that there are more holes that have been like mounted on like a scaffolding. And there's a big pile, like a junkyard pile. And every once in a while, you'll see something fall through the holes onto the junkyard pile. And you'll see some hobs. They go over to it. They pick it up. They're like, and they're going through the things that are falling through the holes here, and essentially assessing them for value. Fade, what do you want to do?
So how far away are these holes? I mean,
So,
are they...
I imagine like a big scaffolding, like you know how when they do the lighting for a stage?
Mhm.
Imagine that it's like that mounted up. So maybe they may be like 30 feet high, ramshackle frame, and so they're up about 30 feet. So things fall. It's not the best design because things break when they fall, but they're hobs.
So I think that I'm going to go over to Janie and kind of point at the hole and say, "We have to get out," and you know, drag them over towards like one of the nearest holes, and we can
Okay.
start
Well,
climbing that scaffolding.
you will see, actually, if you look back, you'll probably see that ladder coming out of the hole that Janie came down.
Oh, and it's probably closer.
It is.
Oh, so I think that I'm gonna then push the little girl towards the ladder and say, "Climb."
Okay, so let's assume that you can move her over that way. I assume, Janie, that's something you want to have happen too.
Mm-hmm.
So you will get there, and that's the point at which we hit the problem of a single person ladder and people coming down. Gray, you will get to the bottom of this ladder. There are people below you. You'll see this little girl. You will see Fade. You will see Janie Magpie, and you can hear that music, do 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 do, sort of rumbling here.
What is the music?
Music?
It's the Hobbs. It's not important. We must leave. Get the girl out.
Okay. I'll reach down and pick up the girl, and either I'll carry her by one arm or I'll let her loop her hands around my neck.
Okay. Yeah, she looks very dazed. As you know from your experience going into the hedge, going into it is kind of traumatic. It drags out some of your personality. It's really hard on people. So you've got, I assume, Echo coming down the ladder as well, right?
Yeah, I think he's come down to this like whole meetup, and he's looking a little muted, a little drained, and sort of panting from the climb. Just like, okay, we're almost at the bottom, and then everything starts turning around. Oh, we're going back up. Oh God, we're going back up now.
Do you want to go back up, or do you want to try and push past Gray?
No, I don't want to go down in this hole without Gray, certainly. Yeah, I'm gonna start pulling my way back up and maybe slipping a little bit on the sort of paint splatters along this ladder.
Okay. And your blood. Yeah, your blood and the paint. So they will start going back up the hole with this little girl in tow. Janie, Fade, what do you want to do?
So have I ever seen Fade's picture?
You tell me, Fade. What do you think?
No, I think that we had established during the last session that this is something she kind of kept to herself and kept kind of secret.
But she certainly mentioned it last time that she had lost the photo.
Yeah.
She mentioned that she'd lost something, and then just now she told Janie what it was. I think that essentially I have essentially the ability eyes above, where I can kind of look really quickly all around. And I'm not sure that it works in the hedge, but I would like to try it.
It sounds like a thing. It's a
It
move.
just says once per scene I can do it.
Okay. So you will grab that up. It's probably weird. There probably are like ghosts of birds that fly around here in the hedge. So you kind of have to grab onto their eyes to do this. And you will see this factory. You will see that mound. And you can see they've got a sorting table and things like that. You will see some Hobbs dragging this guy over to the tables. Looks like the guy's drunk. And you will also see like a couple of changelings in chains working the tables, and somebody who's definitely taller than the Hobbs, taller than the changelings. It's like a good 7 feet tall. you can see he has a head, but there's nothing in the middle. There's just a hole that goes through. And he seems to be directing the Hobbs.
Okay. And do I see a picture? I suppose.
Oh, I think that's a study roll.
Okay. Dang it, I'll try.
Because you're trying to find a picture in a haystack.
Exactly.
Sorry, in a junk stack.
All right, then I will try it. I'll use, let's see here. I'll use calm, because that's all I've got. I've got this moment of calm. Oh, man. 6, 7.
So it does look like over on one of those sorting tables, they've got like pictures, like things of significance over there, and you will see a pile of photographs. Does it seem like a reasonable payoff for your study?
Yes. And essentially then I have a question that I can ask.
Yes.
Do the changes look like recent arrivals? Like I heard about the ones that went or the one that went missing. Are any of them look like recent?
Yeah, at least one of them looks super recent.
Okay.
Like they're still kind of shocked and dazed.
Okay. So I turn around and I go, I know where your picture may be. There are changelings that are held, and there's a keeper or a big gob.
When you say keeper, of course, that word kind of echoes out.
Oh, damn it. All right. I guess I relearned that, right?
Yeah. So it creates a rumble. So she tells you that, Fade?
So I think Fade looks up and sees that Gray is headed up with the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Fade grabs Janie's hand and says, "Let's go."
Okay.
And you wish to start sneaking over that way? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So let's see. You definitely want to. Do you want to try and become one with the dark? You've got that move for that.
I don't want to necessarily leave Janie behind. And she's a little. Well, I think we've been around enough that she knows that I'm with her, even if she can't see me. So yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'm going to say on a 10 plus, it'll be no problem. You can hide and she can also hide. 7 to 9, there's a little more question.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to roll with fear.
Okay.
Because that's very scary. And I got a 6.
All right.
Yes.
So one of the things is that you'll grab onto some of those shadows and you kind of start moving over there. And then the shadows, everything in the hedge can become alive. And when you kind of grab onto that and you've got that darkness around you and you start moving, you've made your way over to there, you're like pretty close by where the tables are and you can see the changeling, you see that big guy, and you hear the shadows go, here, they're over here. We'll come back to you in a second.
Okay.
Echo, Gray, you get to the top of the ladder. No problem. Sarah No Tears is there, and she will kind of reach out her hands to take the child from you.
Oh yes, of course. And
okay.
Child.
And she does that thing again. She kind of switches her mood. You see her put the little girl down on one of the tables there, and she starts essentially using her glamour to kind of remove her fear and remove her impressions. And No Tears goes, "Where are the others?"
Hey, there's. You'll have to keep the hole open. They're coming.
Okay. She moves
And I
the
just
cart.
want to say, like in the pass off of the child, I do slip into her pocket that like weird multicolored crayon.
Absolutely, especially now that it's been down in the hedge. That's a really good idea. So yeah, you will roll, like she rolls a cart over the hole so that people can't see it immediately. And you realize, Gray, that kind of look down. They didn't follow you up.
I have to go. Echo, stay here with the girl, okay?
What? What? Go where?
They need me down there.
But what if you get lost?
I've been lost before.
Hurry?
And then Gray will go down the ladder to try to find his friends.
Okay. And I think you've been down here with people before. You built this ladder. It's an anchor for you. So I don't think we'll have to have you roll with inner conflict here, because you are going down into the hedge. This is a dangerous place.
Oh yeah.
So careful, or are you dropping down the ladder?
Yeah, he's basically slide down. He's got
Okay.
paint, so it's all greased up.
Oh yeah. And certainly when you slide down and get to the bottom of that thing, and your hands will be covered with paints.
Aw.
And you kind of realize, ooh, wait, that's Echo's blood.
Well, I mean, it's not blood per se, because he keeps making it, so it doesn't hurt. It's nice. Gray likes it. Gray does not feel bad.
Okay.
Your attempt to make me feel bad at blood is not no.
I know, that seems fair to me. So Echo, what do you want to do? You want to stay up here?
I do stay up here for a few minutes. Like I'm gonna watch over the handoff of that kid. But I think where I'd calm down to like very intentionally calm blues and greens, like that yellow of panic starts swirling up more and more the longer he's gone. And I think if Gray's gone for more than like, I mean, it's not even like 5 or 10 minutes, I'm gonna go off and start looking for help, because they're lost forever and they're never coming back.
Sir, No Tears goes, do you want some laudanum?
No.
Okay. Fair enough. It will take a little bit. So I assume that you will go down then, right?
Yeah. I think I like go through a list of who could I call on. Wait, I owe everybody else favors. They keep doing things for me, and I don't have anything to call on. And I look over at Sarah No Tears, like she might help me lead the charge, and then no, definitely not that. So yeah, I sort of like lumbrously shove the cart out of the way and look down into the vertigo of this hole.
Let's have you roll inner turmoil. See if you mark clarity for this. What do you want to roll with?
I think it's getting tenuous, but I'm still holding on to calm, because that's what Gray wanted me to feel. That's what he had inspired in me, so I'm gonna stick with that. Oh, that's a 6.
That's a 6. Well, the good news is you get to mark experience.
Oh, goody.
You also get to mark clarity. And I think that you're not going to be able to use your calm anymore. So mark your calm.
Oh, and I actually didn't mark my clarity from that contract before.
Yeah. Get that little corruption track going up.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Calm also has unreactive. So yeah, I think he's just like lost at the top, sort of seeing this like dolly zoom down the
Oh no,
infinite depth of this.
and you get down there.
Okay.
But that's what you pay to get down there.
Gotcha.
We'll come back to you in just a moment here. I want to check with our deadly duo, and then I want to check with Gray. So, Janie, you have been kind of led along by Fade. You've moved up close. So we've got that the sort of the factories are over there with the machinery making the holes. We're by this. The scaffolding is over there with the holes that are dropping things onto this big garbage pile. We have the trash pickers there, going through stuff. It looks like maybe they have some holes like into storage lots and stuff, and they're draining those out in some places. And you see these tables where there's some hobs, those changelings that are chained, and this bigger faceless guy who's there. And you're pretty close when the shadows scream out where you're at. What do you do?
I can see all the chains. Can I see what they're fixed to, or what are the key to it, or essentially, is there something that I can do there?
So you're going to, this sounds like you're stopping to study the scene.
I've been approaching it the whole time with
Perfect.
that intent. So,
what do you want to roll study with?
Fear, because this is the worst.
It
the
is.
Absolute worst. And I don't want to roll, but thanks. So I will. Oh, this is where it goes bad. 7.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you some basic info, and then you get a question. So kind of right on the edge. It looks like there is that the chains are like fixed to a big thorny knot that's tied to the ground. It does look like there are like locks on it, and there's probably keys somewhere around here for that. The most important thing for your peace of mind is you know what a keeper feels like.
Right?
You know that power. This guy, he's not giving that power.
Okay, so he's like a hob thing.
Yeah, he's some sort of hedge beast or hedge creature.
Okay.
That
but not.
Yeah. So what is the question you want to ask or detail you want to establish?
I want to know where the keys are. The keys.
All right. I'm going to say it's on the big guy's belt.
Okay. All right, then.
Fade. Suddenly, people have spotted you. Hobbs, this faceless guy turns. He's got a suit on. Beyond that, he looks like a fat cat plutocrat otherwise. And these Soviet worker-style Hobbs kind of turn. What do you do?
I think the shadows kind of spit me out unceremoniously, and I'm kind of in the ground, on the ground there, and I kind of look up and I say, we're looking to trade?
Interesting. You want to go and try and manipulate here, huh?
Maybe.
Okay. So let's see.
I think my primary thing is to keep a distraction. My hope is that they haven't seen Janie yet, and maybe she can either get away or get what she needs. And my thought was that trading would interest all of these Hobbs. Just as a distraction. Yeah.
So I think the focus is on a distraction. So
Yeah.
so the attempt here is to get them distracted so that they pay attention to you and that they don't immediately come and grab you up.
That's right.
Okay. So I think it's gonna be stay strong.
Okay. And I'm running out of things to roll with.
I know. When you mark
Maybe.
all of them, you are out.
Okay. I think I'm going to roll with sorrow because it's very sad that I'm back in the hedge at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And your picture is somewhere here.
Yes. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. So that's a 3.
So you will start to kind of say, I want to trade. And you will see a couple of the hobs essentially grab up what looks like harnessing tools, and they toss these thorn ropes over you and immediately just drop them on you and grab a hold of you. And they start pulling you over. And um, you will hear that tall guy kind of looks at you, and he doesn't have a mouth or anything, but it's almost like the vibrations inside that head make a sound, and you'll hear, "This is not a market," as they drag you over. Gray, hit the ground at the bottom of this ladder, moving along. You see there are these factories with these hobs making the holes. And it looks like farther beyond, there's a big junk pile where there are holes that they've got affixed onto a scaffolding that are dropping things through. And it looks like there's a whole little industrial, like, picker thing going on over there. But you don't see your companions.
I will call for them.
Okay. So you bellow out their names.
Jenny Magpie! Fade!
And it will echo out through here. It definitely carries, and you will see a lot of the hobs kind of stop and look at you. And a few of them go running towards that pile there. Janie, you hear Gray yelling for you in the distance.
Awesome. I think that as soon as that happens, and I'm guessing that beast kind of has been distracted enough to answer Fade, but also there's this kind of hue and cry go up. She's going to take a leap towards his belt to grab those keys.
Interesting.
She has leaping. That's her wild way. So she moves unnaturally well in that sense.
So are you trying to get there and get away, or are you just trying to get the keys?
I want to get the keys and get away. That would be my preference. I don't know.
Well, I asked that in that very particular way because you could use your escape for that, and I believe you have a move associated with that.
That is true. So, yes, I guess I could do that.
Okay. So why don't you roll escape then?
Okay. Well, fear seems to be the sensible thing. So sensible. It would be good if the dice would be sensible. So 8.
Okay. So you're going to get away.
Yes.
You can mark clarity to have those keys.
Okay.
And you have to choose one of the effects under escape.
Okay. Well, that means reading a thing. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. I have to choose one. Let's see here. I say that I'll give in to my base nature and mark clarity, and instead of being quiet Janie Magpie, she actually starts screaming, and she like gets a kick in on this guy. She's like super aggressive and like just in a flurry, if that makes any sense. So she gets away, but it's like it's not a pretty thing to watch.
Perfect. So let me, Gray, you've kind of stepped forward. You've done that bellow. Kind of done this for a bit. You'll hear the sound as Echo comes down the ladder behind you, like you told her not to do. Him not to do. But Gray, as you're doing that, you'll hear this shrieking, and you see running down the main sort of factory floor, you see Janie Magpie come barreling. You will also see that, Echo. You don't see Fade.
I am going to run towards Janie because of whatever she's running from, I will stop it.
Okay. So you take off. You can get over to where she's at, and I'll describe the situation in just a second. What do you do, Echo?
So yeah, rather than like reacting and running with Gray, I think I'm very hesitant and confused by the situation when I get down to the bottom, so it takes me a minute. So Gray sort of goes off out of my sight. And I hear / see the charge of Janie Magpie there.
Oh yeah.
We don't see Fade, and if they're running like that, it's probably some sort of danger. And I think I want to get a better idea of what's going on. And there are those scaffolds there that go way up in the air. I want to try and use the distraction to work towards the scaffolds and get up and get a better picture of what's going on.
Okay. Let me look here real quick if you have anything that would. Let's have you roll stay strong to get over there without being spotted.
Okay. Oof.
Kind of worn yourself out, haven't you?
Yeah. I really don't think it's sorrow. Let's go with powerful to power to try and stay.
Try and grab on. Okay.
There. Whew, that's a 7 + 0.
Yes. So I will say you can get over there, sneak over there. But now those hobs and all that stuff is between you and your compatriots. Does that seem fair?
Did I get over there stealthily, or?
Oh yeah, you're over there stealthily, but you've got no backup where you're at.
Okay, cool.
They're the people doing the thing, and you kind of have to wheel your way, snake your way around to get over to there.
And I can see the tableau going on over there now with
yes.
the changelings chained up and Fade and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I want to check in with Fade, and then I want to come to a Magpie and Gray in the center, and that running. Does that seem fair? Fade, what do? You've been roped up by these hobs, and you've got this weird hedge creature that's leading them, that is kind of moving over to you. You have a sense he's probably going to put together some chains and put you on the sorting line.
So I think I'm struggling against these weird rope things, trying to kind of flit out and can't quite manage it. And I feel very hopeless at this point. And I don't dare look to see if Janie made it out.
Okay.
I heard this scream and then she took off. And it was like, and I'm kind of pulling against them, struggling.
Okay. Do you want to try and escape from the chains?
I don't think I have anything left to roll against. Yeah. I mean, I have like calm and joy, and neither of those seem to fit. So, yeah.
Okay, that's
So I think I'm kind of resigned at this point. Yeah.
okay. So they are pulling you up to the table and kind of getting things set. I will say that we're kind of at a neutral point where we're kind of pulling you up, and they looks like they're going to put chains on you, and have you sort through all this stuff.
Whenever I do get up there, I want to study the other changelings that are there.
Okay, let's have you make a study roll.
Yeah, and I think this will be calm. Looking at my other, yeah, I can only mark it 2. And I got a 6.
Okay, so you will get up there, and I'm going to have you mark that stat. And I think I'm also going to have you mark 2 clarity.
Okay.
Because he pulls you up. And when he does that, to get you kind of to the table, he leans in with this face where it has the hole in it. There's nothing there in the center, and it goes through. And for a moment, you look through that hole, and you almost feel it like it starts to pull you in. And you have to kind of shake yourself away from this guy. He's not a keeper, but he's nasty. Okay? Janie, you rush up to where Gray is at, shrieking. What do you say to Gray?
And I'm like, I'm changelings on chain. They've got fade, and I essentially practically bounce off of them, and am heading back towards there. Does that make any sense?
Okay.
So it's just like she does the sort of leaping. It's like a bird that's in a panic,
Okay. The bouncing around. Yeah, I get that. Gray. Whoa.
Not good. I'm going to try to go faster, although I don't know if that physics even mean anything here.
Well, you can move up and you will see these tables. You will see a couple of changelings you don't recognize chained. You will see these hobs doing sorting, and you will see this tall, 8-foot tall, faceless person has a hold of Fade, and she's kind of recoiling, even as some hobs are putting chains on her feet.
Stop!
They'll kind of turn and look. They stop just because that's such an odd thing for you to say?
Let them go. Now.
No.
Come here.
I'm good. All right, so you've got that sort of that showdown right now. It's a little undercut by Janie bouncing behind you. But this guy's kind of turning. Let me cut over and see what Echo's doing, and then we'll go to a move here. Echo, what do you do?
What is the scaffolding made of?
Like jungle gym equipment and old metal tubes and whatever they could tie together to make this scaffolding.
Okay. So while he's perched up on it and he sees like all of these old fishing poles, all of these hobs between him and the others, and like it's looking nasty over there, and there's all of these holes on this thing, and he sort of gets a look of like, oh, okay, and tears open those where the thorns had made him start leaking, as more and more paint comes gushing out and starts going over the scaffolding, and I'd like to like paint it and warp it and give it a semblance of life, as like I recolor this metal as like bones, and these tubes and ties and stuff as like sinew, as this scaffold creature hopefully starts to unfold itself and move forward.
That definitely sounds like Invoke Contract.
Does it now?
It kind of does.
Just a lot. And I do think being this close to the holes, he's like keying off of the ambient emotion around them, which is this loss and despair, and I think I'm going to argue for sorrow there.
Okay.
I want this to go well. It's an 8.
Excellent. So I think that you have to mark clarity, right?
I did the first one for starting it.
And I think that the catch is going to be that you cannot leave this area until you paint a painting. Like you're going to need to, for this thing, draw a picture or paint a painting before you can leave.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
Yeah. And,
Okay.
and as it forms up, like on its feet and on its hands and its face and in its chest, these holes become like incorporated into it. I think I'm probably held static between a couple of them in its chest. But as it starts lumbering forward, rather than like dealing with the hobs, it's basically just stepping on them with holes as they go poop, popping out into wherever the holes go.
So are you taking advantage then for the scene against them, or are you frightening, intimidating, impressing? What do you want to do here?
I think take advantage, because I am trying to move through this towards the big hole-headed guy who's threatening my friends at the moment.
Okay, so you're creating this chaos. Hobs are popping up into holes and popping down through holes, and it's a whole mess there, so to speak. And there's that distraction. Gray, I think you're conflicting with this guy, right?
I think we are, because he's not listening to reason.
So let's see what happens in this conflict. Let's have you pick your stat to roll. We'll see what rolls out of that, and we'll check in with then Magpie and Fade.
I'm trying to present power, so I really feel that's what is driving him right now. But I don't know. He's very, very fearful for all of this starting all over again and seeing Fade being shackled, knowing. So I think I'm going with fear.
Roll it.
I've rolled an 8 and my fear is a 0.
Okay. So you get to pick 2 options from the conflict list.
I want to create an opportunity for myself or my allies and gain advantage.
Okay. So what is so we'll just leave the opportunity sort of open for the group, or do you want to define what that is?
They're all seated at a table?
They're standing. They're like chained, like they're working at a table that they're sorting through things.
Oh, well, I grab one of the legs of the table and just wrench it out.
Okay. So you will wrench that out and sort of knock them back. You're going to have advantage going forward on this. But I think this guy, as you kind of come up by the table and grab onto that, he puts his hand on you. And when he does that, your shirt, and then you'll feel it sort of bear down to your skin, this starts to go away as he starts to put a hole in you. And it goes through your shirt, through the top layer of skin, and so I think you're going to have to mark wounded.
Does this burn, or does it just go away?
It just goes away. You're like, you just don't feel it suddenly. And he's sort of stunned because that should have taken anybody down. So with that in mind, with those advantages, as Gray has moved up, is engaged the whole man. What are you doing, Janie? And also, there's this big mechanism now, this mecha hole thing, swallowing hobs and spitting them out.
And I don't think I'm paying attention to that. I think I have the keys, and I'm flying towards those guys. I'm leaping towards those guys that have been at the sorting table, and I have the keys, and I'm going to get someone unlocked, and then I'm going to give them some of the keys, and we're going to get everyone unlocked, if that makes any sense.
So it seems to me like that's the opportunity that you're taking advantage of.
That distraction, yes. Okay.
So let's say that's how you do it. You get the changelings free.
All right. Yes.
And they will be able to start running.
Yes.
Away from Mecha Holezilla, and going. What do you do, Fade?
I think I'm stunned, and I'm just kind of resigned to being, once again imprisoned, in some way. But whenever I think the table got, damaged, basically everything slid off of it. And then the changelings kind of got unlocked, and they started running away. And I think I'm still connected to them.
Okay.
So I think they're kind of dragging me along in the direction that they're running, and I'm kind of, plodding along behind them.
All right. So that doesn't seem like something you need to roll for, unless there's something else you want to do.
I don't think so.
Okay. The only thing is you're kind of running and being pulled away. Again, that table that got knocked over, you'll see those big piles of photographs slumped to the ground there as you're kind of bouncing as these changelings are running away.
And I think on screen we see me kind of reach out, but that I get pulled away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mecha Holezilla, you're moving around. You see that Gray is engaged with this Hole Master. What do you want to do?
Like I said, I'm lumbering this whole contraption forward towards there, and however it ends up interacting, I want this thing to start slamming into the hole-headed guy with holes in an initial attempt to send him away, but will get more complicated if that proves ineffective.
So now let me ask you this: do you want to do this as a conflict on your own, or do you want to support a Gray's action there? How directly do you want to get involved on this?
So I have a feeling like supernaturally here, it's going to be hard to defeat this guy with holes that I'm presuming he made, but if not, he's still got like a mastery over this. So I think the first couple of times I slam into him, he just like confidently comes out of another hole and is back where he started. And so I start trying to confuse him and send him in weird loops. And yeah, I think I'm going to be trying to support Gray and get this guy set up for the perfect strike for Gray to just come in and wallop him.
Okay. So what do you want to roll with?
I think this back to power, probably.
Okay.
I am in Mecha Holezilla.
Right.
Whew, 8.
8. Then Gray can either clear one of your marked stats, or you can take a trust to give you advantage on a roll.
I'd like to get advantage on a roll.
Okay.
Well, you've already got the advantage from your last move.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
that's true. I don't
Um,
have any stats marked unless I missed an opportunity to mark them.
You could
can
clear
I
that
clear
wounded.
wounded?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll just do that. Thank you, guys. That's a good suggestion.
Okay.
Yay.
So you get a chance to kind of, stop the bleeding.
Oh, do you paint over it? Do you paint over the...
Yeah, I think there's definitely like still wet paint, and the spray sort of comes off and hits you on a glob there, and it makes this like tie-dyed patch over your shirt and clothes there, so that it looks like it's all whole except for this weird colorful patch.
Nice. Love it.
And you're up in this guy's face, Rich.
Yeah.
Want to try and take him down again?
I do. I want to whack him with the table leg that I broke off of his little sorting table a lot.
He's been thrown through these holes, and he keeps coming back, and you kind of grab up this solid table leg, and it's not like a card table leg. This is like a big wooden table leg, like
Good.
solid. We pull it out,
Like
and it got
there's
little things.
Sticking out of the side.
Yes, exactly. Let's have you roll conflict, and you roll with advantage.
Okay. With the help and feeling like I have an upper hand, I feel power makes more sense now. Though he is bordering on anger.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. No, he's rolling with anger because he's angry. He really this reminds him of too much of endurance. So I'm rolling with angry, but I am rolling with advantage. So let me roll these two, and I'll roll a third. That is 2 3s. This is not looking good so far. Because I got a -1 with anger. This could be bad. Don't forget, I'm not here next week, so. Whoa, that's not good enough. That is a 4 and a 3 to 7 -1 from anger, which is a 6.
So this does give us some interesting fiction here. We can have you get locked up with this guy, and you kind of pull open his shirt, and you realize he's got there's a hole in his chest where his heart should be, and maybe you kind of get caught up in his holes, and there's that sort of Ouroboros, like Wormoboros thing, where you vanish into the holes and you still got a hold of him, so he vanishes into his own holes. And you know what I mean? Like, you've got a hold of him, you fall into the holes that are in him, and he gets pulled in.
That sounds crazy. Let's do that thing.
So you guys will see that bending weird thing, and Gray is gone. And as soon as he's gone, you will hear this sort of cracking, and all these holes that are around, hanging and suspended in the air and elsewhere, they'll all crack and shatter, and they just fall apart. What do you want to do, Janie and Echo?
I think that what I want to do is grab up this guy that was sort of on the sorting pile, and grab Echo and escape.
Okay. I don't think that we need necessarily a roll for that.
I need to roll for it.
Oh, that's right.
I want to take something with me.
Okay. Then let's have you roll for it.
Okay. I don't want to, but I will take fear. Now, the bad guy disappeared as well, right? I mean,
the big bad disappeared. He's gone. Gray took care of him, but Gray has vanished.
Okay, finally, decent roll, 11.
All right.
I get out of there, and I will read my options. If I get above a 10, do I still have to pay?
Get away.
Okay, I get away, and I grab the box of photos as I go as well. I actually shove them in the hands of that guy and push him ahead of me.
Okay. And he's still kind of drunk. You think that's the only thing that's keeping him from going crazy is the fact that he is still so drunk. And you kind of drive along. Echo, Janie's kind of dragging you out to get out of here. What do you do?
So I think as the whole bad guy sort of turns inside out and Gray goes with him, like Echo just starts screaming, yelling for Gray. You can't hear any of it, but he's obviously like he's up there and his mouth is open. And I think the colors, the paints that are running along this whole, God damn it, I cannot get away from that word, along this entire construction start to vibrate, sort of like sound waves hitting them, and the whole thing just starts to becoming
all
a problem. All of it starts to crumble and fall down to the ground as Echo continues screaming. This paint just spatters out onto the walls of this sort of a cave-like thing, right?
Yeah.
The walls of this cave thing, and they start to gather and coalesce and darken, and you see these very distinctly like crayon style lines and drawings formed together up on the wall there, and it's just this giant fire-eyed black silhouetted screaming version of like where the little girl drew her fears about the stepdad.
Oof.
So it's like this warped, twisted version of the stepdad that's just screaming down fire and fury at all of these hobs and everything in this area. And I'd like to try my new move of Beauty is Truth, Truth Beauty.
Oh, okay.
Which is definitely going to be with Sorrow. 7, 8, 9.
Okay. So you get to choose 2 of that. That one needs to get changed.
Are you talking about the spike thing?
Yeah, that'd be inflict a condition.
But there's already a one for that. Make all who experience it mark any condition.
Yeah, so we would just clear that.
Okay.
So do you want to like disperse these hobs?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with all who experience it mark a condition, which is gonna be fear.
Okay, so these hobs are all there in their little work uniforms and stuff, and that painting appears, roils out, and they will shriek and start running for all their little trods and such to get away from this place.
And then either one of them or someone that they tell about this, I want to choose one person. I guess it's one person present. One person present must meet you. Tell the MC who, and who generally it is someone who knows something of that whole man and could point me in a direction to track them down.
Okay, so it'd be one of the hobs.
Yeah.
Okay, we will keep that in mind for next time. Fade, I think. I'm assuming they're going to get up out into that tent, and it seems like we're settled with that, Janie and Echo. But let's see, Fade. What about you? What's your reaction to all of this?
So I think that as soon as we see Gray kind of wink out, and that, I think you hear this piercing wail coming from Fade. You know, and she's kind of being pulled in an opposite direction. And I think that the changelings probably made for one of the holes until they shattered. And then it seems like they'd look around for any other exit.
Which is
they don't want to stay here.
The ladder.
The ladder. So I think that they're probably dragging me behind them, and I imagine they're coming up the ladder ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. So they can get you up and out and into that first aid tent.
Yeah. And I think the girl's up there along with Sarah No Tears.
Yeah. And she looks fine. She's having another lollipop. She's got another coloring book. And she seems like she's not paying any attention to anything else. And and you'll see those other changelings are there, and then Fade is you're watching there as Janie and Echo come up out of there, but there is no Gray.
And I think Fade collapses on the ground just sobbing.
And that hole will close. And I think that's where we stop. We do XP if you guys don't mind. Let's do that real quick.
I mean, he
Jerry.
vanquished. Oh wait, sorry.
Yep. Sherry, did you risk or sacrifice something to interfere with your rival?
I was going to, and then the plot got in the way.
Well, I think you kind of got up there. I'll give you a point. You definitely were spying on them.
Yes. All right, I'll take it.
I think you definitely expressed your seeming or kith with your magpie jumping.
Mm-hmm.
That's another point. Did you express your season?
Autumn, fear. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Did you express your humanity?
Leaping to protect the little girl. I don't know. It seems like it.
Okay. I'll give you that. We don't have to worry about the conflict thing. So you get to mark each of those. You get to mark an experience point. You also can clear one of your conditions, one of your stats.
Oh, awesome.
Patrick, did you sacrifice or risk to interfere with your rival?
Sort of ish. I put myself in debt to Abyssinian to get out of that thing.
I'll give you that one. Did you express your seeming or kith?
I think so.
Okay. That's a point for that. Do you express your season?
I feel like this was a much more autumn session than it was sorrow or winter.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you express your humanity?
I think that moment with the little girl was definitely that, like trying to connect with her and make her feel better.
Right. In the same way that Gray, working with that woman, will have the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Gray, did you sacrifice or risk something to interfere with your rival?
Didn't sacrifice or risk, no.
Now, he didn't get quite up into his face, but that would have come around on that. Did you express your seeming or kith?
I think so.
Yeah, you did the ogre thing, going, not planning, going straight in.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's a point. Did you express your season?
Season of spring, hope. I don't think he really brought hope.
Okay.
Here, so no, I don't think so necessarily.
I would just like to say you always bring hope to your other motley mates.
Did you express your humanity?
I think so.
Yeah. Talking with that woman, walking her down, figuring out how to handle that, that's a point.
Okay.
And finally, you also conceded a conflict.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a point for that.
All right. I have an advance to take.
Okay.
I
think they're called XPs, not advances in this game.
Oh, okay. I rolled over, so I have to choose an advance.
And you get to, and both of you, Patrick, Rich, you both get to clear a condition marked stat if you want. Let's come to Fade. Fade, did you risk or sacrifice to interfere with your rival?
So that was Sarah No Tears. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Did you express your seeming or kith?
And by express, that would be things like activating shadow or moving in the shadows and trying to scare people.
You're doing things that you think fit with the being a darkling or being your particular kind of darkling.
Yeah, so I think trying to scare the drunk dad or the drunk boyfriend was good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you express your season?
So that was autumn. I think that was a lot of fear and wailing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Did you express your humanity?
Trying to interact with a little girl.
Yeah, right at that start there. That whole sequence with her is definitely worth a point.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so I would like to have you guys think about the mechanical side of things for us to talk about in the future. Note that I was going to do roses and thorns today, but it is Mother's Day, and we need to get running like straight from here. So I am going to start here. I apologize for that. But if you have mechanical things where you're like, okay, this move seems missing, or these are redundant, or things like Patrick spotted with the stuff on that particular painting move. I'd love to get that feedback generally to make this tighter so it's more fun to play. I want to say I appreciate, Patrick, you using the contracts today. It was fun to see that in action.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to say in general, like just about the moves and mechanics, it was. I almost got lost and watching some of the mechanics unfold. It was really fun to see some of those new moves out there, and it was really neat to see you making different sorts of GM choices off of the moves. Like I had a couple of moments that were just like, oh, that's how you can approach that situation. It was really cool.
I did enjoy it. I do think I maybe fell back on Stay Strong a few too many times, but that's a combo that I need to think about there. But we'll come back to this. I appreciate you guys trying something that is still very, very rough, and being willing to play it out.
I mean, I don't consider this game terribly rough. My sorrow is that it's someone else's IP, so
yeah,
you've got to file some serial numbers off to make this a thing.
I mean, this is already so much sharper than even just the first draft.
Yeah, I'm digging it. All right, thank you guys very much. Have a happy Mother's Day. Because I got to call my mother and do all that jazz. And be well. We'll talk with you all later. I'm going to stop the broadcast.